From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
A team with a dream.
You know, we're co-workers, we're partners, and we're best friends. Pretty much everything we do, we kind of bounce ideas off each other and just feed off it.
How their company is leading the way in the dairy industry when it comes to technology. The deal is off. A look at the decision to cancel the merger between Kroger and Albertsons as we look ahead to 2025 and the future of the dairy industry.
I think it's what's best for the industry in the long term.
Our continuing coverage from this year's Milk Business Conference in Las Vegas right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer.
Ben's bins, please hold.
Yeah, Ben's has been busy all day.
Seems like no one can keep up with this new Z series. What did you all put in these feeds?
Science.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths, coming to you again this morning from the Milk Business Conference at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. As many in the business know, the dairy industry has been on a roller coaster over the past couple of years, but heading into 2025, people here tell me there's cautious optimism about what to expect in the new year. This year's Milk Business Conference covered a lot of ground as operations milking nearly 1 million cows were on hand for the two-day event.
It's a really good networking opportunity to meet people from throughout the country and get to share ideas and hopefully take them back and make our dairy more efficient.
Producers like Darren are already looking forward to 2025.
Immigration will be an interesting thing to follow, just policy and with the election that happened, see how that goes. We have a large Hispanic workforce, so that'll be interesting.
I think 2024 was a pretty stellar year when we talk economics. Really good milk prices. In our case, we were also blessed with a crop that turned out in the end. We were worried about it at the beginning.
2024 followed a tough year in 2023.
Rewind to 2023. Lousy year. Dairymen were in a hard spot. We finished the year with cheese prices that are $1.35 to $1.40. Everybody's spirits are low, just as low as the prices are.
North says those low prices helped to spawn strong exports that ultimately carried over into 2024.
We have this big export of cheese, specifically fresh cheese. Cheese is leaving the system, going elsewhere. We have fewer cows than what we need to keep up. We have heat stress in key production regions. We have bird flu taking production out of the mix. And now suddenly we've created the perfect storm and we send cheese prices up to 220 blocks, 260 barrels.
But ultimately the consumer pushed back and brought cheese prices back to reality in the 165 to 170 range.
We're now asking the questions again. What does it look like as we go into 25? The good news is we are at a deep discount to the world marketplace, and that same discussion around exports is starting to swirl once more.
Underpinning the year were lower feed costs and strong beef prices. That helped ease the blow of production issues, including those caused by high-path avian flu.
We're seeing herds in places around the country working through it, maybe their second or third time. They're not taking the hit that they had in the past. And ultimately, while they're losing production, it's not as extreme as what was maybe first guessed when bird flu became a story for the very first time.
As USDA begins widespread testing, farmers are also keeping an eye on how it impacts the industry as a whole.
So I think we absolutely have to do the testing. I think tracing it back to its origins and really getting on top of this is, this is really going to be the only way we can do it. I know it's not real popular with a lot of farmers. That being said, I think it's what's best for the industry in the long term.
As they look forward to another year in the dairy industry.
Opportunity is knocking on the door every single day, and sorting through the opportunities has become a full-time job, which I have never seen that before in my career. So to me, it's incredibly exciting, and I'm very optimistic about the upcoming year.
Coverage of the Milk Business Conference on AgDay is brought to you by Rabo AgriFinance. Discover how local relationship managers and global sector expertise can help you address challenges and seize opportunities. Rabo AgriFinance. Let's talk. Learn more at www.raboag.com.
As the dairy industry continues to work to learn more about H5N1, we have new information about the possible case of avian flu in a child. Health officials in Marin County, California say the child got sick after drinking raw milk last month. The child reportedly testing positive for influenza A following a trip to the emergency room. Now, more testing is underway to determine whether the child had the H5N1 flu. Now, that child is recovering from the illness. This year, there have been 58 human cases of the virus. Almost all have been in farm workers dealing with sick cattle or poultry. Scientists continue to say there is no evidence of person-to-person spread and that pasteurized milk is safe to drink. Things have cooled down again. Now many in the northern U.S. need to bundle up for an Arctic blast. Meteorologist Jack Van Meter joins us with an update.
Taking a look at the current temperatures across the United States this afternoon, a big plunge of polar air really starting to dig down, especially again for the Great Lakes states as we see another Arctic blast moving into the U.S. Putting this forward in motion, what we are going to be seeing is pretty much a one-day only cold snap event. Pretty much what's going to happen is we will be seeing these temps slowly but surely retreating back up into Canada, which again, good news there. Very mild conditions down south San Antonio, dealing with 65 degrees, Dallas at 59 degrees. But again, like I said, cold really not lasting all that much. Tomorrow afternoon's highs 29 degrees in Chicago. Still cool, but not as cold as they were up there in Minneapolis. So you got to kind of keep that in motion. And actually, like I said, for the end of December, not going to be terrible at all. And folks in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan seeing more snow. This scene courtesy of the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum at Whitefish Point. Beautiful view of the lighthouse and the museum grounds right there. Well, I'll have more in your forecast coming right up.
Weather conditions are forecast to improve this week in Southern California, which could help firefighters battling a fire that's forced 20,000 people from their homes. The Franklin fire has grown to more than 6 square miles in Malibu. Southern California's Santa Ana winds, coupled with low humidity, have fueled that fire. Now, one woman awoke to a wall of flames and had to scramble to save her horses before the barn they were in burned down. New developments and a story we've been keeping you updated on for months. Albertsons officially giving up on its merger with Kroger. Now, it comes after the proposed merger was rejected by 2 courts earlier this week. Albertsons also announcing it's suing Kroger, alleging it didn't do enough to secure regulatory approval in the planned $24.6 billion deal. The 2 supermarket chains had proposed the merger back in 2022, which would have been the largest grocery store merger in U.S. history. Now, the companies had hoped it would help them better compete with big retailers like Walmart, Costco, and Amazon. But the Federal Trade Commission sued to block it, concerned it would raise prices and lower workers' wages by eliminating competition. Grains and cattle continued their rallying ways on Wednesday. We have an update on what's fueling the markets coming up. And we'll introduce you to another winner from this year's Milk Business Conference, how this pair is taking their dreams far in the world of dairy cattle genetics.
AgDay is brought to you by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels provides a 13 bushel advantage per acre in no-till and a 7 bushel advantage per acre in conventional. Do you have enough room in your bin to switch to the Germinator?
Grains continue to bask in the glow of Tuesday's new supply-demand numbers. Can it last the rest of the week? AgDay's Michelle Rook has more in Markets Now.
Grain and livestock futures closing mixed on Wednesday. Ellen Brugler is back with analysis. And Ellen, let's talk about corn because we did end lower coming out of the WASDE report, which did show that big drop in ending stocks by 200 million bushels. So we just ran up into chart resistance we couldn't get through?
You know, the March contract has the old high at 452 and a quarter, and then you've got a retracement at 456. It's a little overbought if you look at some of the oscillators like the stochastics and the RSI. So we managed to punch up to 451, and that was about all we could do.
So do you think eventually, though, we'll take those areas out because we have had that strong demand you just mentioned?
I think you got some things working in the bulls' favor right now. You've got the again, the stronger ethanol numbers, and those were confirmed again with Wednesday's weekly report. You've got the pretty strong exports for the first quarter, September, Nov, and extending into December here. And you've got the funds cutting out their shorts, reducing that position. They're not that long yet, but they're getting out of quite a few of their shorts. And with the USDA cutting the ending stocks number so much, it's actually lower than a year ago now, tighter than year. So that's going to tend to keep the funds interested in either being long or neutral.
And the cattle market made new highs for the move on Wednesday, pushed by higher cash. Where do we project to now?
Well, I think your main resistance is up in the high 195, 196 area. That's the all-time high for the nearby futures, and we set that earlier this year. We've got that's the easy target. You've got cash trading 192, 193 this week. That's supportive of the board. And it's also, I think, longer term. The question is still, when do we flip the cattle cycle? When do we have more heifer retention, which typically would reduce the number of heifers in the feedlot and tighten up the feeder supply? That would push prices over $200 on the cash, I think.
All right, thanks so much for joining us. Ellen Brugler, ANN Economics, and we'll have more AgDay coming up.
Like I said, that Arctic blast moving through much of the United States actually came through last night, and we're pretty much starting to see some of the side effects, mainly being the fact that the Great Lakes are starting up the lake effect snow machine once again, putting this in motion starting this morning at 7 o'clock. Again, with all the snow coming off of the Great Lakes, and pretty much that system going to be diving out into the Atlantic Ocean. Still eyeing another low pressure system off the Pacific Northwest that actually will be turning and moving on land very slowly, and actually some of those highland areas out there will be seeing some snow as a lot of that moist and cool air actually moves up the mountains and freezes. Slug of moisture actually coming off of the Gulf of Mexico, starting in the Houston and Dallas area, extending all the way up into Minneapolis for your Saturday. And also take a look at this. That system starts to take off, bringing a burst of moisture, especially to areas of parts of the Great Lakes. Actually going to be seeing mostly snow. Take a look at this temperature outlook that we have from the 18th all the way to Christmas Eve. And yeah, it looks like those cold Arctic temperatures are not going to be in the picture whatsoever. Above average temperatures for much of the country. Take a look at this in northern Colorado and parts of Wyoming as well. Really, really warm, and the only parts of the country actually that will be experiencing those average temperatures for Christmas time, it's actually just going to be the East Coast there. So a bit of relief is on the way, but again, from the cold temperatures and not really rainfall whatsoever. Here's a precipitation outlook, somewhat mirroring our temperature outlook as well. Very, very dry for the Four Corner states, and of course going to be pretty wet for the Pacific Northwest, where they're going to be seeing that next system pretty much come on shore and dump a good amount of moisture, while much of the country stays at normal or just a little below. Weymouth, Massachusetts, we have a high of 42 degrees and a low of 22 degrees. Mostly sunny skies there. Elrya, Ohio, 20 degrees and a cold low of just 15 degrees. And finally, Waukesha, Wisconsin, 10 degrees and a low of 0.
Coming up, what the beef industry has to say about new dietary guideline recommendations. And later, celebrating a partnership that is taking the dairy industry to the next level. Meet another of our Milk Business Conference Award winners. The government's Dietary Guideline Advisory Committee has released its report, and it's recommending reduced consumption of added sugars and red meat. Now, the report highlights what it says is the link between unhealthy eating and rising rates of chronic diseases, calling for a shift in dietary habits to improve public health across the lifespan. As you can imagine, some ag groups are not happy with the recommendations, including the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the organization's president, telling drovers the committee ignored robust and rigorous scientific evidence about beef's essential nutrients and the positive role it plays in health. Now, the produce sector had mixed reactions, welcoming recommendations to increase fruit and vegetable intake while opposing reductions in starchy vegetable consumption. The recommendations now go to HHS and USDA, where officials will draft the final guidance set for release next year. Beef exports posted year-over-year increases in October. The U.S. Meat Export Federation posting new numbers showing October beef exports totaled more than 105,000 metric tons. That's up 1% from a year ago, while value increased 3% to over $860 million.
You look at Korea, for example, 19,600 tons, up about 5%. It was the largest month in Korea since March of this year. And China actually had a big month as well at almost 17,000 tons. And it's the largest month since June of last year.
Hellstrom says there is continued momentum as well in Latin America, with Mexico importing almost 20,000 tons, up 7%. A love of Holsteins led to a unique partnership. Meet the Milk Business Leader in Technology Award winners who are working to build a better cow next. We're continuing to celebrate the men and women honored here earlier this week at the Milk Business Conference. Now this morning we're celebrating the Leader in Technology Award winners. Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan profiles the partnership behind GenoSource.
At first glance, these two may just look like typical business partners, but peel back the layers and it's clear Tim Brown and Kyle Demmer are more than just that.
You know, we're co-workers, we're carpenters, and we're best friends. Pretty much everything we do, we kind of bounce ideas off each other and just feed off it.
It's a partnership in every sense, and it all started with a dream 10 years ago. That vision was to create a modern cow, one that excelled in a freestall environment, but also had fewer health issues and could convert feed at an efficient rate.
And now we're 10 years into this partnership in GenoSource, and I don't think anyone would change a thing about it.
A decade later, GenoSource has grown into more than even these families imagined. The partnership now involves 8 families, all with a love for Holsteins and a shared goal of creating a more sustainable future for the next generation.
Being an early believer in genomics, I followed technology. Graduated college in 2008, and you know, I told myself we got to follow technology, we got to lead technology for the industry. And we dove right into it, and we had a lot of naysayers that said, hey, this isn't going to work, you shouldn't go this direction, and we put, you know, foot on the gas, and we put the hammer down with it.
By honing in on the genetics early on with genomic testing, it's their ability to grasp onto a plethora of technologies that's taken this dairy to the next level.
From a genetic standpoint, we took the herd that we bought, we put embryos into them, and ran an extensive embryo program from day one to roll a herd over to the kind of cows we believed in milking. I was milking 2,200 cows at the time, and we came into it, it was milking about 70 pounds a cow with a 3.4 butter fat and a 2.8 protein. So since then, we're at 95 pounds a cow. We're at a 4.6% fat and a 3.5% protein.
GenoSource expects to be milking 4,800 cows by next summer, as they have a unique ability to look at improving genetics, cow comfort, nutrition, and management, all through technology. This new construction is a sign of more progress underway today, with GenoSource in the middle of building a methane digester and a new maternity barn.
That barn's going to be fully tunnel ventilated, sprinkler system, a lot of different things ideas we're putting into that facility.
GenoSource has created an environment where these cows are content, which may be the biggest sign of success any dairy can have.
Some things that excite me the most are the cows are happy. So when you have happy cows, they help pay the bills, and you can come out here 365 days a year and cows are out here making milk. I always have the motto, you take care of the cows, they'll take care of you.
A dairy that knows no limits, it's embracing technology that's allowing GenoSource to create new opportunities on their farm.
Honestly, technology helps you get through some of those challenges, and we're able to pull the data from different things. It means a lot to myself, it means a lot to our operation, but I think we're ready for the next 10 years.
And that's why GenoSource is the 2024 Milk Business Leader in Technology Award winner.
All right, thanks, Tyne. And we have one more winner's profile to share with you tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.